Hi friends, hope you're doing well. My name is Saajid. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't really been in the best place over the past few days, weeks, and I needed somewhat of a pick-me-up in the form of making a video, so that's why I'm here today. Hi, how are you? So today we'll be doing the end of year book tag. This is a tag that people usually do closer to the end of the year, like November or so. I decided that I might as well just do it now because it's my channel, I can do what I want. This tag was created by Ariel Bissett. I'll try to leave the original link in the description down below if I could find it. And it's a really short tag, so let's just get into the question. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Yes, there's one in particular. I'm still reading this book. I've probably been reading this for maybe almost a month now, and I'm not even halfway through. That is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I am really enjoying this book, don't get me wrong. This story is very, very fascinating. But it's taking me a while to get through it because it is a bit heavy compared to what I'm used to. Emphasis on that, because it's not really a heavy fantasy story. It's actually quite light and easier on the eyes for most readers, I think. But for me, anything remotely fantasy is just out of my realm. No pun intended. So this book, whilst I'm enjoying it, I'm really taking my time with it, and I think that's making me appreciate it more. And the fact that this story is also set over a long period of time, I think, you know, reading it over a fairly long period of time is kind of helpful for me in terms of just growing with the characters and growing with the story itself. But I'm really enjoying it. As you can see, I'm tabbing it up. I don't do well with like historical fantasies and stuff, so I'm making sure to put a lot of tabs and make a lot of notes so that I can keep track of all the world building and historical facts and all that kind of stuff. Really enjoying the story, and I can definitely see why you all love this series so much. And I do think I'll probably end up continuing on with the rest of the series. Hopefully. I always say that whenever I read a first book in a series, and then I don't. The next question is, do you have any autumnal books to transition into the end of the year? This is a very global north question. Aside from that, I also don't really know what the question means itself, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to skip over that one. The next question is there a new release you're still waiting for? Yes and no. There are a couple new releases coming out closer to the end of the year that I would like to read, but I probably won't get around to them. But there are a couple new releases that I recently got and that recently came out that I am looking forward to read, hopefully before the end of the year. The first one is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This came out in September, and I don't usually read thrillers. This is a psychological thriller, but I've heard really excellent things about it, and I want to read it for a particular read-along that I may or may not be a co-host of. I'll be announcing that a little bit later on this month, so look out for that. But yeah, I'm probably going to read it for that read-along, and I'm really looking forward to it because I want to get into thrillers, but none of them really appeal to me. But when I heard about the plot of this story, I was very fascinated. It's supposed to be a thriller about gentrification, which sounds so interesting. So I've heard great things about it, and I think it's when I watched Alexa Dunn's review of this book, I was very much sold. From the time she described it, I was like, yep, I'm going to pre-order it, and I pre-ordered it, and really looking forward to getting into this one. Another new release that came out, I think in August, that I recently got was Darius the Great Deserves Better by Adib Khorram. This is the follow-up to Darius the Great Is Not Okay, which is a book that I absolutely adored. It was one of my favorite books of 2019, so I do look forward to jumping back into this book. If you don't know anything about the first book, it basically follows this boy named Darius who is just going through a lot in his life, and he went to Iran for the very first time because that's where his mom is originally from. That's where his mom was originally from, and his grandfather was terminally ill, so he went to visit there before his grandfather, you know, kicked the bucket. And it was about him just sort of discovering himself and learning more about himself as he sort of reconnects with his heritage. And in this book, we get to explore more of his sexuality or his queerness, I believe, and I'm really looking forward to that because in the first book, we do get hints that he's queer, but it's never explicitly said. Whereas in this book, he's like in a love triangle with two guys, which sounds fun. Can't relate. But I'm really looking forward to this one, though. I've heard excellent things from my friends who have already read it, so I definitely think that's going to be a good time. The next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I'm going to go with 3 Caribbean books just because, you know, we love to support the localities. And the first one is Patsy by Nicole Dennis Benn. This book is set between Jamaica and New York City, and it's about a woman named Patsy who leaves behind her child True to go pursue the life that she always wanted in New York. And it's about the consequences of that, but it's also about a lot more. It's a very layered story from what I've heard. I loved Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn, so I expect great things of this story as well. One of my most recent acquisitions was 1 Year of Ugly by Caroline Mackenzie. This is a book set here in Trinidad, and it's written by a local author. It's actually a story about a Venezuelan family. So the family is from Venezuela, but because of the political instability that is happening over there, they had to move to Trinidad, and then they end up getting involved with a criminal, and they have to do his bidding to pay off a debt for him, essentially. And it's about how the family is sort of navigating that really difficult situation. I'm really looking forward to see how the author deals with just the exploration of Venezuelans in Trinidad, because this is a very recent phenomenon. I mean, Venezuelans have been in Trinidad for a very long time, but recently, because of obviously what's going on in Venezuela, last year the Trinidadian government had to grant amnesty towards Venezuelans to come over and seek refuge, and it's led to a lot of discussions, as you could imagine, and a lot of politics and a lot of different opinions, and obviously this has had a profound effect on the Venezuelan immigrant population. So I'm really interested to see if this book delves into that, and if it does, how it does that. If not, I'm just hoping that it's at least a fun story. And then next up we have A Death in the Family by Ryan Shah. This is set in Guyana, I believe, and it is about an Indo-Guyanese Muslim family. The father of the family dies, and it's about the 3 children having to deal with his loss. I loved A Silent Life. If you watch my channel, you know I read that book earlier this year, and I absolutely fell in love with Ryan Shah's writing, and I'm really looking forward to jumping into this one, particularly because, not just because of her writing and because I enjoyed that one book, but because I'm really, like, I have a thirst to read more stories that explore, like, the Muslim Caribbean experience, and this is exactly what that is. So A Silent Life also follows, like, a Muslim Caribbean family, but it's not as detailed on the, like, faith aspects and how Islam impacts the lives of the characters. This book, from what it sounds like, is going to definitely go down that route, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. This actually bleeds into the next question, which is there a book that you think could become your favorite of 2020 in the next couple of months? And this definitely has the potential, if it does all of the things that I wanted to do, if I end up seeing the kind of things that I want to see in this story, it definitely has the potential to become, like, my favorite book of 2020, especially given that I love the author's previous work. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I don't know if this pick-me-up worked. Hopefully I feel a little bit better and a little bit more accomplished, that I did something and I put some content out there into the world for people to enjoy. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it brought a smile to your face. Maybe it didn't. At least, you know, you're here. You made it to the end, so there had to be something appealing about it. So thank you all so much for watching this video. As per usual, if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned, please leave them in the comments down below. Why do I keep hitting the freaking doorknob? If you have any thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned in this video, please leave them in the comments down below. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.